Yeah.
When you go into the meeting rooms, you get a pen, you get a notebook, you sit into that room.
That's right.
And you just you
know
pretend
so
like
crazy?
you're taking notes and you look them in the eye.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Serious. And I did take it very seriously, and whatever work they wanted me to do, made sure I took it. I took notes.
Yeah.
And within that 6 months, I was promoted to clinical research coordinator.
Welcome back to Mind Your Wellness podcast, y'all.
Yes.
I am so excited.
Very
to
excited.
be here with you guys for this episode. And today we have a very good episode because we're just gonna talk.
That's right.
You know, we're just gonna talk about it all. Womanhood and wellness and being a woman and understanding yourself, relationships, and just life as a woman, and understanding who you are. And I am so excited because we have a very special guest. And remember how I tell you every episode, I'm going to tell you my guests are special because they are. That's just special. Straight up the point, okay? My guests are special. But today we have our very special guest. And I'm excited to talk to her because she's a sister that, we call it a sister-in-love. Sister-in-love. I always say that. But she really is a sister-in-law. She really is a sister-in-law, and I just admire her.
Basically, here to help you interview your sister-in-law. Right?
That is true. We do have my other sister-in-law that is gonna be on the podcast. That is interesting. Well, I guess that's no wonder why they all special.
Right.
That's why they're all special. But yeah, I mean, I've learned to meet. I think I met her the first time, which we're gonna get into. We were at a family event, and we
the family event of the sister-in-law.
Of this other sister-in-law. Yeah, of a sister-in-law. And it was cool though. And I met her, and my interaction with her was just like, oh, she's so sweet. Because we slept together in the bed, and I didn't even know she was gonna be my sister-in-law. Looking at the time. Yeah, it was my first interaction with her. I always give you like a background story. Forgive me if I'm rambling before they introduce themselves. But yeah, I like to do that. And so I met her, and it was just like, wow, she's cool. She's really cool and sweet. And I saw her again, and I saw her again, and I was like, bro, if you don't wipe this,
Oh my God.
But yeah, man, we have none other than Dalie.
Yes,
Dalie, I know your whole name. I don't know if you want to tell everybody your
Of course.
name, but we have Dalie with us. Sis.
Thank you.
I'm so happy you're here. Just tell the people about you. Who
Of
you
course.
Are.
I want to say, ladies, thank you so much for having me on this wonderful podcast. So Ovel already gave you guys a little snippet of me. I am Dalie. Some of you guys may know me as Ellie. So whichever one. I say that my childhood friends know me as Dalie, and then my school friends know me as Ellie. Yeah, so whichever one fits, whichever one is good. I am Ovel's soon-to-be sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Sister-in-law, we call it. And so I am... I'm a co-host of a podcast called Good Luck Sis. So you guys can find it. Make sure you subscribe. I am a children of God. I am a daughter. I am the only child, so I don't have any sisters or brothers, but I do have close cousins and very close friends. With also having my podcast, I love to create a platform where I can inspire women to be motivated and also to feel inspired and create a safe space for them to like grow and to thrive. Yeah. And I have my master's in public health and I have a strong background in clinical research and grants management.
Awesome.
And that's all about me.
All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, listen, we have some good talks today. Patricia and I, as you know, we always come with the questions.
I'm nervous, y'all. I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. We're just going to have a really good conversation because, our podcast is just focusing on wellness.
Yes.
But let me get comfortable. Okay.
Yes. But you know something, there's always the thing about women going on journey to find themselves, you know. Sometimes it happens when you're going through a transition, and some other times it's like some major life changes, like women become moms, or they have a near death experience, and or you feel like you reaching 30 and things like that. And I know you're still in your 20s.
The end of it.
You're at the end of your 20s, and I'm in my early and mid 30s.
Oh,
like
Lord.
getting younger every
Still
day.
look good, baby. Black don't
You
crack.
wouldn't tell her age. You
Black
can't tell.
don't crack.
So
Okay.
do you feel like as you're approaching your 30s, like you hitting that, like, oh my God, there are things that I needed to get done. Like I have to find like a new version of me. Like, do you feel any type of pressure like that?
That's a really good question. I feel like finding yourself is a special and a unique journey of itself. And I started my 20s doing that. I started to embrace like my story, like who is Dalie? So I knew who I was. I knew I was a 7-day Adventist. I knew I was a daughter of an elder. That's always been my identity. I have to act a certain way. I have to speak a certain way. And then I got to college and I met a variety of people, you know? I was the girl that was going to Pathfinder every Sunday. Like, tell me how to tie a knot. For all my Pathfinders, you'll know. I'll tie a knot, okay? And that was my whole identity, but I never knew who Dalie or Ellie was, you know? So once I started my journey, went to school, met amazing, wonderful women. And it was part of my journey of not being so judgmental also. You know, growing in the 7-day Adventist community, we learned that we're the most holy, saved. And the people you meet outside are, you know,
The others.
the others. So I met these wonderful girls, showed me, you know, their story. And I got to learn so much about myself. Like, yes, there are certain people like this, but what are my core values? Who am I? My parents have set core values for me. Do I want to accept them or create my own? And I learned to accept my core values and also take my parents' core values too at the same time. I am modest. I grew up modest. I'm still modest, you know? And it became my identity of knowing who am I really. I love that. And I love that.
I love that. And you said you were trying to, you know, kind of learn who you are. And now in that process, I think a lot of people don't see the mental health aspect of it. And, you know, like obviously we're a wellness podcast. Like how did you kind of find who you are while dealing with all of those mental strains of becoming who your parents want you to be versus what you want to become? You know, and can you define what wellness now looks to you?
Yeah. Wellness to me looks like mentally and physically being okay and being happy. Growing up, we focus with wellness, we focus on the physical. You know, you go on your regular checkups, you know, you got to be good, you're good to go. But growing up, there was never that example of how to be mentally okay and how to do your mental checkup. You know, it's just if you're stressed, you pray. That's the only example we have. So while also embracing myself and through my journey, I prayed a lot. And it's just like one of those things, like prayer has become such a core value for me. I have a prayer group. Like I said, I love to create a platform for women to come and have a safe space. I created a platform called Safe Space Prayer, where it's a lot of my close friends, we come together and we just pray. And it's just one of those things of like, whatever you're going through, it's just like, bring it to God and just like, yes, prayer does help with mental health, but at the same time, God has directed me while focusing on my wellness and my mental health that I need to go to therapy and I need to find a therapist. And while doing that, and I prayed to God, I remember the first time I decided to go to therapy and I needed to focus on my wellness. Like I literally contacted a therapist, found her, we match. She understands my whole background, understands my, my core values of being Seventh-day Adventist. She also had family members that were Seventh-day Adventist. So
very lucky.
I was very lucky. Since 2021, and we're still strong, going strong. And I am very blessed. And with wellness, I learned that I need to focus not only on my physical, but also my mental health. And for me, that's being happy. And also relaxation is very important to me. I removed the stigma of relaxing is lazy. Relaxing equals lazy. Relaxing is parasias. It's not. It's not. We work so hard. We're operating 24/7. We have the hustle culture nowadays. And
we rebuke it in the name of Jesus.
So it's important 100% for you to realize, what is relaxation to you? Relaxation might be reading the Bible. Relaxation might be reading a book, something that eases your mind, whatever it is. Because for me, I know that I get anxious really easily. My mind is going 100 miles per hour. So I need to relax and breathe. And I just find that is my wellness. Like, I need to relax.
Oh my God. That is okay. I love that. Let's unpack that.
Yes.
Because I was reading, I've been reading Dr. Anita Phillips' book, and she's talking about how we are a garden. How we are directly connected to tree, and it's very complex, but very the way that she explains how emotional health is just as important to your well-being and things, and we need to nurture ourselves, our garden. And one thing that she mentioned, she was talking about how we are connected to trees, we are also connected to water. And we are connected to nature because that's how God created the universe. That's his model. And I started to think about, there was a time where I was diagnosed with anxiety. So anxiety,
most black women. I feel like this is the
anxiety club.
I feel like most black women probably were diagnosed with anxiety.
Yeah, it was PTSD and anxiety. So I always say fresh water, peace. I say fresh air, water, and peace. There was a time where I couldn't breathe. And then I would just say those 3 words to kind of just reset my mind and take me into a space. Because when I step outside and then I breathe fresh air, I instantly feel better, calmer. Like whatever it is, wherever I am, I have to step outside and get some fresh air or see some trees and things like that. And then I feel better. But then when I realized that was my thing, I started to intentionally take myself outside and go for walks, and make it like a habit to be around trees, to be in nature. Because I know once I step in the forest, wherever it is wild, I'm like, everything kind of just stop and slow down. And we don't take time to do these things.
We don't.
Because we keep going and going and going. And in Haiti, we used to do these things. I mean, we were little, granted. But
we have more time.
We don't have I don't feel like we have the hustle. I mean, we work hard.
We do work hard.
But I remember seeing my grandmother just laying in the middle of the day, taking a nap.
Yeah.
They had those things called atemio. Then they just put it on the floor, and then she's just taking a nap. And then after a 15 minutes, she gets up and go do her work. I remember seeing people coming from school and then just laying on the bed and then talk. We have a culture where we work hard, but we also rest. But then we come in America.
Oh, Lord.
And then it's go, 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 go. It's no, if you don't do this, if you don't go to school, if you don't work, if you don't do this, if you don't make money, you're gonna. And then we forget about all of these values and all of those beautiful things. And that's why people want to go back to their country. They're like, you're not really missing the country. You're just missing the lifestyle that we have.
But I think a lot of that also comes from trauma. I think what it is that our parents, are so traumatized that they don't want to, they just surviving. And a lot of time people don't talk about the trauma that are passed down to generation. So it's like our parents' trauma is passed down to us. And so we feel like, we just have to go, 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 go. But even in the Bible, God's showing us that we need a time to rest. Literally. The Bible literally says.
What did Jesus do in the middle of a storm?
Oh yeah,
Right?
Get away from everybody.
What did he do when they were about to come and get him? He's like, I'm gonna go sleep. Okay,
That's right.
I'm gonna go rest.
That's right.
We
In
have
the middle
all
of
of
the
this.
storm.
Yeah, we have the example of that because it's like our human body. We cannot just go and go and go. At some point, it crash.
Yes.
We have to like really be careful. And you see all these people. You know, that's why we suffer from anxiety.
Yes.
We suffer from
all of
depression.
these things.
We suffer from all of these things, and because we're not allowing ourselves to just take a breather, and know, like you said, that it's okay. It's not laziness. It's just healthy.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why, but the question about, do you feel like, because then that happens more for women when they're reaching 30s, because society tell us like once you're in your 30s, you should have had
this
should have been
and that.
done,
Yeah.
like you should have been married,
You should have had the children,
should have had,
the
like so
career
we have all
set,
of these
everything.
milestone that we need to hit before we reach 30, and this is why you see that happens where people hit into identity crisis. That's why now we have quarterly midlife crisis. I mean, it's not midlife crisis. There are quarterly crises now where people have go through crisis in their mid-20s.
Right.
Like things that people used to experience back then, like in their 50s.
Yes.
So now we're experiencing them in our 20s or mid-20s, because there was so much pressure. And it started as a child. Because now, when I was in kindergarten, I just got to play. That's how it used to be. But now they have the children in extracurricular activity, piano, dance, gymnastic. Like the kids are so busy.
And which wouldn't be a bad thing, but they're not preaching the other time of let's relax. Let us also be balanced in a way where it's like you cannot do everything.
Exactly.
You cannot do it all.
But the culture just teaches us to do that
as women, and I feel like as Black women, there's a lot more pressure
it
for
is
us
a lot
to
of
reach a
pressure.
certain amount. So you'll see the white woman
Yes.
who probably doesn't have the more education but get the better roles. So with a Black woman, okay, I have to get my master's order for me to be in that role, or to be able to get that, and I have to perform at my highest level in order for me to be able to get that position.
Has that been your experience?
I don't think so. It's just that I feel like sometimes what I see goes on behind closed door, where people will say, oh yeah, I just have to work 10 times harder in order for me to kind of like get that position. And then you see the white lady and she just passed by and she was like, yeah, you can have this because you're more qualified. Yeah, I have a friend who actually works in I guess she works in the division of just I guess psychologically she works for to advocate for people who are women who are in the field and working and trying to I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but to sum it up, she advocates for people who are trying in the workplace, who are trying to get in another level, and she advocates for that, and to make sure that the workplace is being for diversity and inclusion and fair towards Black women. She sees that sometimes what happened is that the Black person that will come into the interview, which I actually had a conversation about that recently, they'll come into the interview and or a Black person in general, I'll say, they'll come into their resume is so great, like everything is good, and sometimes they don't get picked over the person that's just just regular, just like they know somebody and they were able to get in.
It's all about connection.
Nowadays. And that's why they have her in that role to prevent those things.
I have 50% agree, and I think there are other things to it, because and that's why I think Google has this whole program of Dare to Lead. I have a colleague who does that training for Black women who undersell themselves. Because let's take that example too. Like a white person show up with a resume that had less thing, and then they show you the person for the job. A Black woman walk in overqualified, but they don't have the confidence to sell themselves for that job. And we come from culture where we feel like we have to be humble. Like in America, people are sitting in a meeting and telling you that, hey, I'm qualified for this because I did X, Y, and Z.
I did
like
that.
This, I did this. I hit this. These are my numbers and things. Black women, I feel like, have to learn to talk like that about themselves.
They have to be confident.
They don't have the confidence to, like, we are afraid to sell ourselves because we don't want to look like, okay, we're thirsty. We don't want to look like we're pushing forward. Or we don't want to look bossy because we're trying to be good, good and upstanding people. And also, there is that call that I think a doctor, I think Dr. the girl, I'm muttering her name, but she talked about post-slavery disorder.
Ooh,
where back then, like the bad talking down on your children and all of these things like stem from slavery. How the parents, they would devalue their children in front of the white master. So the master wouldn't sell those children. So they'll be like, oh no, he dumb. Oh no, he's stupid. Like he's not gonna be. He's of no value to you. Like he's not gonna do anything. So they do that out of love,
right?
But that was in the time of slavery, right? They do it out of love to save the children. But now you have this maladaptive coping things that's passed on to the next generation, where we're like, the slavery is over, but mentally we are talking down on our children. So imagine I'm raising a household where I'm like, you know, oh my gosh, simple thing. Everybody else is doing it. What is this? Like so much pressure to perform, and at the same time, the comparison and everything. Talking down on all of these things. So now, it doesn't matter if you have a PhD.
You don't value.
You don't feel your worth.
You're worth nothing. And in your mind, you're thinking, "Oh my God,
I'm not worthy.
I'm not worth it."
Every interview I walk into, I tell myself I'm worthy to be in that.
That's right. Yeah.
Because when I started working, I started working at a top hospital. It's a very popular hospital. And when I walked into that room, I was the youngest person. I started working. I was fresh out of college. I knew this is where I wanted to start. It was my dream to work at that hospital. It was the hospital I when I came to America, I was only 5 years old. Been going there, been seeing my doctor, and I was like, I want to work there. And I finally got the job, and it was a low balling job. It was I was starting off as a research staff assistant, and it was only paying $15 an hour. My parents were like, so you shouldn't take this job. You're fresh out of college. What are you doing? But I knew I had a purpose. I knew I told myself, I'm like, within 6 months, I'm getting a promotion. I'm getting a promotion. I remember I walked into that interview, I walked in, did my interview, and I was like, I'm getting this job. I'm not applying to any other job after this. Got a call that I got the job, and I was like, I know it's $15. I'm taking it because within 6 months, I'm getting the promotion. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna show them. And it was other older people in that job. I walked in. I crossed one of my when you go into the meeting rooms, you get a pen, you get a notebook, you sit into that room, and you just you pretend like you're taking notes, and you look them in the eye, serious. And I did take it very seriously, and whatever work they wanted me to do, made sure I took it. I took notes, and within that 6 months, I was promoted to clinical research coordinator.
Let's talk about that.
I had to work harder.
I was just about to say that.
And then people that were in other like higher positions were looking at me like, how did she even get there? But one of my boss,
had to work harder. You see how she said
I had to work harder, and my boss saw that I was working harder. So she gave me the opportunity to keep growing. So it's like I did have to work
confidence,
harder.
The confidence, because I had a similar thing happen where when I first moved here, the hospital that I work for is really good. It's popular, and people were saying, "Oh yeah, you need a big interview. You don't get that into that hospital that easily." Like people were telling me, like, "Oh yeah, people tell, if you're gonna get into the hospital, you might need to know someone."
I had no one. I know nobody here, and I walked in and I used say souls on my rail. I used other things. I'm confident, like I'm not just here to just do this clinical work. I'm the boss. And my manager, for some reason, still this day has respect for me because of it. And I feel like confidence is where we're lacking because of the trauma that we talked about. Our parents telling us. Thankfully, my parents didn't really do that, but it's always that like some patient parents, they always look down on their kids and they're like, "Oh, you know, you opa fan, pour ça opa même j'ai tel a fait ça, elle fait ça tout." You know, like they're always comparing. For people who understand what I'm saying, is they're saying, "Oh yeah, that person is this, that person got married. Why aren't you married?"
that person already got
Yes.
their career of getting together.
Yes.
What are you doing with your life? It's like they don't allow you to learn and grow and build that confidence along the way.
Yeah. Something, I think we have we have a lot of similarities because I had the same experience, but they told me that so you have this job where you start as a case coordinator and things, and then you move to senior, but the senior position always go to people who have seniority, people who've been there. And the one time there was somebody who quit at the job, so it was just me and that girl who's been there for like 6 years. And she was so confident that she was gonna get it, and I was at the job for like 5 months or something. So everybody was like, no, and then she's the youngest at the department, whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to that interview. And she's like, really? You're interviewing for the job? I'm like, yes, I'm interviewing for the job.
She was like, who are you? Where you came from?
And she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, everybody can interview for the job. And, like kind of like
trying to downplay
you. And I went to that interview, and then I told him. But the thing is, I told him what I did.
Yeah.
I did not allow like the feedback on my
negative
performance that they did, that my supervisor did. I never allow people to speak for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's one thing that's always worked in my favor.
To speak for you.
Because when I step into a room, like, I'm not saying I don't need anybody's feedback, but I know
yourself.
I know my work.
Yeah.
And I know what I've been doing, because I know I always put the work ahead. I always do the extra miles. Is something that I think I was taught early on. Like, you go the extra mile. You go the extra mile, whatever the job. If they ask you to you write your notes,
no matter your
in
position,
48 hours. I get my notes in 24 hours. If they said, oh, you have to go visit, can you do? I'm like, I'll do my visit, and then I'll do this visit too. So if and without having to like force yourself or trying to show off or anything like that. So when I step into a room, I'm telling you, I need this job because
this is who I am.
I've been doing all of this. I've been doing that. And that's what you require. And you always make sure you read the description of what they require for the job. And I think that's where we lack in. And I comment like women who've been there, who have the confidence, and then make the time to mentor other people, mentorship.
I think that's where it's important, because what happened is, I feel like the mentorship aspect is the most important.
Absolutely.
Because there are people that they succeed, but they don't want other people to succeed, because it's like, and that's why you have to be careful who you're friends with and who you're around, your environment, because some people, they will have the access, but they won't share that knowledge, they won't share things with you, because it's like they have to be at that level so they can feel better about themselves.
They want to make it before you.
Because it's like, that's where the lack of confidence come from too, or the like, oh man, I'm not gonna be nothing, because but they come the comparison. It's like the competitiveness of comparing yourself to the other person, so that you can feel better and secure within yourself. So where as like Black women, I would love that to see us transfer into mentorship positions where we help other people, uplift people, don't put them down.
Exactly.
Or don't just hold things information to yourself because you feel like you're the only one that has to be in that position, because that way you feel more important.
You're not helping the community when you do that. We're supposed to be like lending our information, our advice to one another. That way we can support each other. Because when I see I'm doing well, like I want my friends. I want someone I might not know. You see that I'm in this field, like reach out to me. I'm gonna give you information how to get there, where to go. I will send you. I'm always sending job posts to people. I'm like, here, apply. Exactly. I just did that the other day. Like, there was a job opening at my job. My boss was like, "Do you know anyone?" I was like, "Absolutely." Forward to my friend. I'm like, she has no experience, by the way, but she's a great candidate. So.
Hello, wellness enthusiast. If you are on the lookout for a holistic company offering natural remedies and skincare products with pure ingredients, your search ends here. Green Olive Tree Outreach was founded with a mission to address community respiratory needs. Recognizing the importance of skincare, they've crafted exceptional skin-loving soaps using locally sourced whole plants like Cerville, orange, grapefruits, and mangoes. They offer skin-conscious soaps with natural ingredients like coconut oil, olive oil, shea butter, and clays. These soaps are specifically formulated to help nourish the skin, exfoliate dead skin cells, promote new cell growth, and stimulate white blood cells for skin restoration. These bars penetrate the skin rapidly, offering pain relief, inflammation soothing, and balance whole oil production. Great options for both men and women. But that is not all. Go2 has something special for our little ones, the Tender Care Baby Soap. Perfect for babies, of course, and people with super sensitive skin. And to our listeners and viewers, Green Olive Tree Outreach is excited to offer an exclusive discount. So use our code #wellness for a fantastic 12% off of your first purchase at gotobotanical.shop. So that's again #wellness for a 12% off at gotobotanical.shop. Elevate your self-care journey with Go2. Your well-being is a journey, and we are here to walk it with you. Yeah, let's move into that conversation now. Let's get into, because I know we talk about womanhood and what the expectations are. By 30, you need to be married. By 30, you need to have a house. By 30, you need to live. It's like a checklist. Check. Oh, but I haven't not checked yet. Check.
I know,
how I know that you're a fiance now.
Yeah.
So how did tell us about your love story and how did preparing yourself or your wellness journey allowed you to find your partner or soulmate, whatever you want to call them now. Yeah, your future husband.
I love that question. Where do I start? My love story. It's girl next door marries guy next door. I guess that's what I can say. So for those who don't know, I grew up with my fiance. So we did grow up in Haiti together. Our families are very close. So his parents are like my parents, so it's just like his mom was my teacher back in Haiti. And it's just like we always had that relationship because our parents knew each other. So I would see his mom when she would come to the States, and I've always remembered the name. But when I came here when I was 5 years old, there was a disconnect. Obviously, it's just like you lose contact with people, you don't know people, but the name was just a common name in the house. So I was just like, oh, they would say the last name, and I'm like, oh, I know those people, And then it wasn't until we got older. It's very new because people so it was just recently. I'm like, yes, it was just recently, as in I guess we would always go to family events and I would, the wedding, and I would go, that's when I first met you. Hello, how you doing? And it wasn't until 2021 I came to Dallas. And I came for my friend's birthday. I was living my young and single life. Yes. I thought I was coming out here to have the time of my life, but God was like, no, you're not.
Okay. Coming here to tie the knot.
Coming here to tie the knot. So I came here, got extremely sick while I was in Dallas. And I only knew just, a few people here. So I ended up reaching out to him. But I had seen him prior to that when I was here. And then I reached out to him and I was like, hey, what are you and your sister doing? Like, all my friends are out, let's, can we can we hang out?
Okay. Initiation. I love it.
Yeah. And he says it himself. He's like, I'm kind of shocked you reached out to me. And you know what's so crazy? I almost didn't. I think it was just God working because I'm not the kind of person that will reach out, be like, hey, can you come pick me up? Like I would have just stayed in my apartment, dying because I was sick, y'all. I was so sick. Still today, I don't know what was wrong with me. I was fine the next day. Wow. Right? Well, so God was like, it needs to happen today.
God has the antidote. Right? Leave it to God and he'll get you sick.
Exactly.
And you'll get your man.
Right? Exactly.
Oh my God, this is weird.
So he came and picked me up, went back to where him and his sister live. And then that night we just we played a card game. It's like that asking questions back and forth, but it's like a dating, couples do it. And he was like, it's a couples game. I'm like, we can just ask each other and we don't have to do it in the couple version. It's just we can just be, open and just do it as friends. My
brother had game. That's what it's called.
I was like, out of all games, sir, that one. So it was while we were playing the game, it was we got to really know each other. He would ask me questions and then I would ask and we would both answer. And that was the end of the night, I thought. And then he drove me back to my hotel. But he kept saying to me the whole trip, he was like, I remember something about you. And I was just like, from when you came to visit Haiti in 2009, mind you, I told you guys we used to see each other from time, like our family would see each other from time to time. And I was like, oh my goodness, I remember that trip. I remember specifically when I was in Haiti, I couldn't find the bathroom in his house in the middle of the night. So I was like walking into different rooms. So I thought that's what he had meant. Like, that was just embarrassing to me. But apparently he just had remembered that. I can't believe I'm sharing this. He had remembered that I was sleeping and he saw that I was sleeping. And when he did see that I was sleeping, he looked at me and said that one day I'm going to marry this woman. And that was at 14. And I was in the car. I was like, my goodness.
He did a thing. He did a number on you.
Oh my goodness. Like, sir. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say. And still today he jokes about that. He's like, I said specifically, what do you want me to do with this information?
I love it.
I am so, and I apologize. I apologize to him because I was so much in shock that I was just like, okay, what do I do with like, what do you want me to do with this information?
Right. That's a lot to process.
Like, should I exit this car right now and that's it? Like, we don't talk because we didn't text prior to that. We were never like friends texting each other like that. So it's like, do I exit? And that's it, or are we making a decision? Like, I just wanted to know what I had to do with that information. And he's like, you don't have to do anything, you know? And I just right? And I just respect him for that because after that day, the next day I flew back to Boston, and ever since then he put in the effort, called and texted me, and you know,
what a beautiful
he made it happen.
That is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful story to tell your children.
This is a beautiful story, man.
Thank you.
But you know something, isn't that how dating is supposed to be though?
Yes.
Like the question, like without even like the romantic part and things. Because I feel like now, I mean, even in my time, what I see as dating now, that was not dating. You know, back then, you know, it was never like that. It was like holding hands, and then you're standing here, and I'm standing here, and we're asking each other's question, like trying to get to know you,
the core value of the person,
core value, and all of these things, and making sure, like, do they go to this church? Like, where do they go? Who are their parents? So, and I think that's why our grandparents are married for that long, because the parents. I mean, I don't believe in like all arranged marriages, but I kind of like the fact that they did the research. Like they know their family, they know your mom, they know where you live, they know what your uncle did, and they know like, okay, can you can marry into this family, or you cannot marry into this family because their grandfather did this, or their grandfather was an abuser. I know these things, like sometimes they don't transfer to generation, but they're very important.
My husband and I talk about this all the time.
Very
and it's so ironic that, you know, our family kind of also knew each other. It's not the same story though. But it's so important because we always talk about how we see the way that somebody behaves when they become a wife or when they're married to somebody, and we wonder why, and we don't start looking into their family. Look at that person's mother. Look at that person's father. How are they? You know, so these are the things you need to expect from them as well. You know, so if you see how they are disrespectful towards their husbands or this and that, that's what this person grew up seeing, so they're gonna do the same thing to you.
And even when they don't want to do it intentionally,
that's all they knew. That's all they knew. The example they saw.
It's naturally gonna slip in. The verbal abuse is naturally gonna slip in. The language naturally gonna slip in. Even then when they're trying to be different,
it starts at a young age. I watched this video on Instagram of this mother who would vacuum, right? She would vacuum, and then there's a carpet. So the dad, what would he do? Every time she gets to where the carpet is, he would lift the carpet up, right? And the little boy would be sitting at the other end of the carpet and he would just watch his dad, right? His dad kept doing that. One day the dad wasn't home. The mom was vacuuming and cleaning and the little boy came, picked up the carpet.
Yeah.
Just like the dad used to do. And the mom started laughing. Learn behavior.
Yep.
They learn at a young age.
And I think that's what one of the things, like as a woman, I feel like I was looking forward to being with a partner where that can also help me recognize some of the things that I took from my parents and the things that I could also change. And I'm seeing that, like when I got married, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming like my mother, or I'm doing this like my mom. And I was like, and then he kind of
never do.
I know, it's like I would never do that. And then I'm like, why am I like this? And it's like, you work on, and not that my, it's a bad, like my mom is not a bad person. Obviously.
No.
You love your parents and they have some great qualities, but there are some qualities that you don't also want to take, and you try to be better for the next generation. And you have to check yourself and be like, nope, I don't want to do that. And and having a partner that also kind of is patient and recognizes, okay, you know what, let me help you within that. Let me make you recognize some of those behaviors that you need to change so that we can have a better relationship. One question I have for you, that is, you're about to be married. Like, what is something you look forward to and something that you are afraid?
That's a really, really, all these questions are so, I'm like, they're all good. I had amazing parents that really showed me love in the household. They were a really good example. And they really showed me how to love and support one another. So I look forward to sharing that space with my husband and growing and also setting that example. I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to witness love. And the most important thing is that I also had my grandparents living with me and I got to experience their love. And let me tell you, my grandmother, like my grandfather and grandmother, they loved each other so much, like to the point up till my grandfather passed away, like she did everything she could to care for him. And they were married for about 62 years before he passed away. And it's just like, she's cooking, mind you, they're like 90, 91, 92.
Like, pretty old.
Right. She's cooking at the in the kitchen, and you'll see grandpa pass by, li ballon ti tap. And the kid give her a little tap in the butt. And you can tell that's like they have a playful love and they really love each other. So, and I see my parents also have a playful love too. And it's just like, I look forward to creating that example for my kids too, and just showing them that there's love at home and for them to feel love, and for me to be an example, for my husband to be an example for our children, so they can also find love out there and true love.
Nice.
Yeah.
Something, I want to talk about values, because I think it's so important when finding a partner. You mentioned how when you went to college, you had to decide if you were going to keep your parents' value and if you were going to develop your own.
Yes.
But now you are at another transition. You're not starting college, you started marriage.
Yes.
So have you decided on the core value that you want in your marriage? And even though your parents had a playful love, but things that you do not want to replicate.
Absolutely. I think often about how I want us to raise our children in the marriage. And I also want to be very transparent also when it comes to like finances. My parents were great in managing finances, but it's also the lack of education too. I love you, Mom and Dad, if you watch it. But it's just like, it's not their fault. There's not much that they knew, and they did amazing with what they, the knowledge they had. But it's just like, I do want to be very transparent. Like, hey, we can't afford that. We can't do that, And also how we're gonna raise our kids. I don't want to put that pressure on them. Like what I want them to dive into their like artistic side, the whole if they want to tell me they don't want to go to college, mommy and daddy, hopefully daddy is okay with that. Mommy is okay with that. But what are your plans? Because I feel like in our culture, we're so hard on like not giving our children the freedom to express themselves and, find their passion. It's just like, that's one thing. I have accomplished a lot of things in my life, but at 29, I'm learning to find what is my passion. What is my, what
that's
is
golden.
Yeah, I did find, I although I answered that I finding myself, I did find my 20-year-old self, but I'm about to find out who am I for my 30-year-old self. I look back, I'm happy on how I developed and who I became, how I embraced my 20s. But I feel like for my 30s, I need to really like find who am I. I feel like I always saw greatness for myself.
That's right.
And I need to know what is it. I ask God, I'm like, God, what is my purpose?
Passion or purpose,
that's my next focus. I need to find.
What steps have you been taking for people who maybe like what are some challenges that you're facing with that? Because a lot of time people don't understand that is the most important thing when it comes to like your life in general, especially if you're somebody that likes to be in line with God. I think purpose is really important, and take it as serious as anything else. Because that's really what determines how you impact your generation to come.
No, it first starts off with one prayer. I pray to God. It's been one of my prayers. I feel it in my soul. I'm like, God, just guide me. And I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, what about he says this? I'm like, no, God, no. That's not what I want, but you got to obey. Second, I talk about it in therapy. I've talked to my therapist. She's provided me with books to read. I haven't read them yet, but certain books to read of like finding my purpose. How did they find their purpose? And then what I've always been a objective girl. I've always been, I think, Patricia, you asked me like, how do I feel that I'm 20, about to finish my 20s, and I feel like any regrets or anything? I've always been the checking the boxes girl, and I literally checked out. This is the first time in my life that I have no other goal. Like I always have like, okay, gotta finish my master's. I gotta buy a house. I gotta get married. And this is the first time my mind's at peace that like I have nothing. If someone was to ask me what's the next step, it would have been like, oh, I'm ready to purchase a house. I told everyone last year, I'm like, I'm gonna purchase a house. Like I have nothing to say. Like I'm gonna get married.
Very sweet space.
It's a good space, but it's a very uncomfortable space.
It is.
And every year I create bullet points of things I need to accomplish. Of 2022, accomplished everything that I had except for one thing. And 2023 just did that, like accomplished. And I am hard on myself, and I'm learning to just be a little more easier if it's not, but I'm very like, okay, next thing. And I haven't created my 2023 is about to end. I haven't created my 2024. And I think it's because more of like, I have to really sit down with myself to really figure out what's next. I don't know what's next.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I actually have the answer to that.
I actually was gonna ask you, because I'm like, you found your purpose, and I think one of your books actually helped me find my purpose, which
and I went on the same journey. I find whenever I hit that plateau, it's a plateau because you're successful. That's what it is, because it's like, the goal was to get the master, the goal was so you've done all that. So now it's time to go bigger, because I feel, and God revealed,
bigger,
and trust God for what is that bigger thing, because it's not necessarily a thing.
It could be a thing, but I do feel that. I do feel it's like it's bigger.
It's bigger,
and it ties with that. I pray about it, but I don't pray about it too much, because it's the same thing about finding a husband. I never prayed about it. I never prayed about it, because when I do pray, things are revealed and things happen for me. God doesn't take time. You gotta pray with faith, and it will come. It will come to life. And I remember when I actually started praying, like, God, I really do. Hey, God, it's me. I really remember getting on my knees. I was like, hey, God, this is the girl that said she would never pray for a husband. Because it always sounded funny to me, because my mom was like, c'est sujet pour joindre un mari.
You have to stay on your
knees. You have to stay on your knees to find your husband. And I was like, okay, mom, bye, Hilda. And I found myself doing that. And my cousin always told me, every time I would tell her, I'm like, I think I'm ready now. And she's like, why don't you pray? And I was like, yeah, I know if I pray, it's coming. But am I ready? And I find myself in that same situation. I pray and I'm hesitant. Because when I used to pray of finding someone, I used to pray with hesitation.
Not believing.
And then when I finally prayed with purpose and belief, it happened the next month. You know, it's just like this time around, I've been praying, God, I want to find my purpose. Lead me to
wherever is
order my steps, God. Where am I supposed to be? And put me in the rooms I'm supposed to be in. But I've been praying with hesitation. And I need to get to praying with the faith of like, I know what's coming next is bigger, but am I ready to like accept it?
And that could be the thing, because that's what I was going to say next.
Yeah.
Bigger is not always a sweet spot. So enjoy where you are right now. It's uncomfortable.
It's very
I like
uncomfortable.
it.
It's very uncomfortable.
Because bigger requires bigger personality, more character, more determination, more resilience to suffer. Because people don't understand that, like, the more God gave you, the heavier your burden. Because now you at a level where you can't mess that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now,
that's something to lose there.
Back then, you could have messed it up, and then one person would see you, and that would affect like just your neighbor next door, whatever. But now, if you mess up, I have a whole lot of people
watching you
that would just stop believing in Christ altogether, or that would just like, I know those Christians, you know. Like so many people are at stake right now. You can't afford to have a lack of character. So sometimes the bigger, it's like there's an hesitation because it's not going to be just bigger, but it also going to require you to go through some pain and develop your character as a person to be ready for
not
bigger.
Comfortable. You're not comfortable with it, but not everything requires you to be comfortable, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. And I appreciate this conversation because I think this is going to help a lot of women into like finding who they are. And it's just understanding that, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. And you mentioned, you know, you just being hard on yourself. You have to do this. You have this goal and goal and goal. But it's like, at the end of the day, make sure your mental health is also good. You know, make sure you define who you want to be, not what society says. Or, you know, I get your parents, they want the best for you, but you have to know you. You have to learn yourself. Like literally go to school for yourself. I say that people go to school for yourself, like learn yourself. And I think that also helps in prepare you for your person, the person that you met to be with, which I'm so happy you found. Thank you.
Such a great conversation.
I know. I wish we could stay longer and talk and just talk and talk and talk. Pleasure. But it was so fun. But you know, we didn't do our icebreaker, so we're gonna do it at the end. You're so special that we're gonna do it at the end.
I feel so special.
Exactly what it is.
We usually do it in the beginning, but we're gonna do a little icebreaker.
Her icebreaker sounds like it's like a whole new session.
Oh my god!
I know, but it's okay. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna try to keep it easy.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
It's just the same things. It's the same things. I just, you know, I didn't switch it up much. It's really just this or that.
Okay.
Which one you prefer, so our audience can get to know you. And before we do the one wellness word. Okay. So city life or countryside?
Me last year would have said city, but I'm a country girl now.
I mean, we're neighbors.
Give me some boots and a cow girl.
We're gonna get chickens.
Yes, we're trying to get chickens.
Trying to get some chickens.
Yep. With the 12 children in the house.
Yes. With growing fruits and plants and everything in the backyard.
Yes, we love it. What about you, Pat? I don't think I know.
Country.
What? Okay, never mind. You were just being hyped about that. Okay, sorry. Hey, y'all already know. I'm definitely countryside. Yeah. Summer or winter? Because you lived in a cold. You guys live in Boston.
Which summer? Are we talking Boston summer or Texas summer?
We're talking. No, there's a difference.
There is a difference. There's a difference.
Florida summer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know.
I'll take summer.
I'll take summer.
I'll take summer.
Yeah,
you'll take summer.
Yeah,
I'll take summer.
Okay, summer for sure.
Yeah.
Adventure, travel, or relaxation?
Travel.
Okay, because
travel with a little relaxation now.
Both.
Yes.
We need one. If you can
travel.
If you couldn't do relaxation,
travel.
Travel. Okay.
I love me some travel.
Yes.
Okay. Definitely travel for me too. A music festival or a art gallery?
Oh, art gallery.
Art gallery.
Art gallery.
Yeah.
Okay. definitely art gallery for me too.
I love
Oh,
it.
this was very fun. And
I
to end this, we
know.
always do one word when it comes to womanhood wellness. Since this was this topic about womanhood and finding yourself. So what is one word that come to mind? That just one word when it comes to womanhood wellness.
Yes.
For you.
I would say love. I want to say self-love, but I can't. It's not one word, so I gotta say love. You gotta love yourself. Love and pour into yourself.
I love that.
In other words, selfishness. Like you gotta really. You come first.
Yeah.
You come first.
Love it.
Authenticity. I think that unlocks everything.
That does lock. Oh, that's a very good one.
That's a very.
Oh my gosh! Like they always have me questioning mine. Every
Maybe you should go first.
Mine is bloop. Just lock it in, and then don't feel bad after. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my
One
goodness!
word.
I thought about the word and then I changed it when you said authenticity.
Well, say the word that you were gonna say.
That's what I'm trying to think about now. It just literally left my mind.
That happens.
But you know, she's naturally like that. She puts people first, and I tell Obel that all the time. Like I'm like, come to the front, Obel. And you lead it. Yeah, you empower people.
She's a good leader.
Yeah, she is a good leader. She likes to empower people. But I want to see you
empowerment. That could be your word.
You know what? Empowerment.
Yes, that's
Thank
your
you
word.
for that. Empowerment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's your thing. That's your area.
Yeah.
Thank
That's your ministry.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
When I feel that, let me call Obel.
Yes.
So I can get
Obel's
myself
always
together.
rapping.
Yeah.
Yes. She's always hyping anyone up.
Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate this. Thank you, sis, for coming. Thank you, cousin, sis, and friend. I love you guys, and I think this was really good. And this was Mind Your Wellness.
Because it's your business.
And we're out. Bye.